We all know that money is one of the leading causes of divorce, and I really feel like the landscape of social media doesn't make it any better whatsoever. So, my question to you is, what if you could get a leg up by knowing what money mistakes to avoid? I'm going to come back to that in just a second. Hello, beautiful people. It is me, Tasha K with Goddess Day, and if you are new here, welcome. This channel is dedicated to helping you save your first 1K, 10K, and 100K and beyond. So we get into the topics that are going to help you elevate your finances. For those of you who are returning, welcome. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with me. Today, we're going to be talking about 7 devastating money mistakes that most couples make. And the goal is for you to be able to avoid them. Whether you are in a relationship right now or not, I highly recommend that you have every single one of these on your radar. When it comes to relationships, and especially when we're thinking about long-term relationships and marriages, you want to make sure that you are financially compatible. All right, and so we're going to be getting into some of the ways that you can ensure that you are. So let's get into the topic. All right, so number one of the biggest, most devastating mistakes that couples make when it comes to their finances include avoiding financial questions in the very beginning. I know this is the honeymoon stage. You don't want to ruin it, and you don't want to seem like you're a gold digger, because I know that is a huge conversation that's out there right now, and you don't want to feel like you're coming on too strong. But listen, I'm not saying that you come to the first date and you're like, so what's your credit score? I'm not saying do that, but I am saying as you're getting to know each other, ask questions about who they are with money and how they are with money. So one of the things that you can ask is something very simple like, what are your favorite stores to shop at? This is going to give you so much information. You're going to be able to identify if they are cheap. You're going to be able to see if they are sensible, and you're also going to be able to see if they're big spenders, and you want to be able to keep all of this in mind. If you really want to have an understanding of where you guys fall, guess what? You both can take our budget style quiz, and that'll help you open up a conversation about how you are with money, how your brain operates, what your personality is like. And we have these different budget styles like meticulous budgeters, ambitious budgeters, indulgent budgeters, and you get to see what category you fall into and what category your partner falls into, and then you guys can start talking. But asking these questions in the very beginning is so important, like, are you okay with combining bank accounts? Or how do you think you should manage money in retirement? Or do you think it's important to help children in their finances and help them get their first car and help them get their first home? What do you think are the biggest financial priorities in your life? And you want to make sure that you're asking these questions from the beginning, because if you get too far in, now, for men, they're going to be like, oh, no, this is not going to work. But for women, once you get too far in, it's just like it is what it is. Like, we here now. So make sure you're asking these questions from the beginning. Number 2, fearing financial commitment and vulnerability, right? So one of the mistakes I see couples make, even when they've been in relationships for a long time, I see this on Reddit all the time, and it blows my mind. Right, couples are afraid to share what's going on in their bank accounts. They don't want to talk about money. They don't want to get vulnerable with money. They don't want to show people what's going on behind the screen. And we saw what happened with Risa Tisa. Okay, we saw what happened when she trusted somebody's word instead of looking to see what was actually in the bank. And so what I would say is, if you are comfortable enough kissing, you're comfortable enough having sex, you're comfortable enough doing these other things, you might want to get comfortable talking about your money. You might want to get comfortable being vulnerable with a person that you plan on being with for a long time or that you plan on getting married to. These are the types of conversations that you want to have. Like, you want to really see what's going on and make sure that it's going to work long term and that it makes sense long term from a financial perspective. How you think you want to be with this person long term, but you don't know what their student loan debt looks like, you don't know what their credit card debt looks like, you don't know what their bank account looking like when I tell you the math, the relationship math, it's not mathing, it's not adding up. You guys are vulnerable in every other way, but this one, it's not making sense. Number 3, not planning as a unit. All right, this is where you really have to start thinking about, are we really in this as a relationship to build something? And particularly if you are married, right? Like, if you are married, or, oh my gosh, this reminds me of one of the things I read on Reddit where this couple, they weren't married, but they lived together, or they were about to move in together. And the woman was sharing that her boyfriend bought a super expensive truck that was costing him over $1,500 a month. And even though that money had nothing to do with her, it still signaled to her that he was financially irresponsible. And not only did she decide not to move in with him, but she ended the relationship completely. And not just because he was spending so much, but that he didn't get agreements from her first. So if you are in a relationship and it is serious and you are moving forward and you are thinking about marriage, you want to treat it like a partnership when it comes to your finances, just in terms of making sure that both parties are on the same page. Because when you're moving in that direction and when you are operating as a unit, your finances are going to be greatly improved, right? Even if you're just a couple, I think it's so important, even as a couple, for you guys to be thinking about, if we're together right now, how are we enriching each other's lives, right? I personally think that that is so important. And, when you get married, all the finances become combined most of the time. But when you're not married, that's not the case. Like, you're in a relationship and you're not combining finances, but there are absolutely ways that you can still support and help each other. All right. Number 4, another huge mistake that I see is not combining bank accounts. Again, what's going on? You're vulnerable in every other way. This is specifically for, if you are married. Combining bank accounts is one of the most powerful things that you can do, because now you get to intentionally use not one income, but 2 most of the time. This is a game changer, right? And even if there aren't 2 incomes, what you can also do, you can begin to consolidate your spending, right? So you get to be more intentional with 2 incomes, you get to consolidate your spending, and ultimately you get to save more, you get to invest more, and more than likely you'll get to pay down more debt. So I typically recommend that my clients combine bank accounts. Now, I will be honest, not every couple feels comfortable with this. This really doesn't make much sense to me. Like, if you just said, "Till death do us part," I'm not understanding. But different people operate in different ways, and that's okay. I also have a system that has 3 different ways that you can manage your money inside of a relationship and inside of a marriage. And if you think that this would be a good topic for a video, let me know down in the comments. All right. Number 5. So number 4 was not combining bank accounts. Number 5 is not having separate accounts. Even if you are combining your bank accounts, you always need your own. All right, I was talking to my friend the other day, and she was telling me that her grandfather took care of her grandmother, period. Like, her grandmother didn't have to worry about nothing. She didn't have to work. And guess what? Sis still had her own bank account, and she still made sure that she was always in a position to take care of herself if the need should arise. A lot of times I hear people talking about the fact that they don't want their man to be their provider because they feel It makes them feel vulnerable. It makes them feel like they're out in the wind and they want to make sure that they can always take care of themselves. But I don't understand what that has to do with your man being a provider. I don't know. If you know, let me know down in the comments, okay? Number 6. Now, this one might tussle some feathers. You guys probably didn't think I was going to say this, but when one of the devastating money mistakes that couples make, these couples specifically who are married, is not getting a prenup, okay? And if you are going to have a long-term partnership and you are not really concerned about marriage, then you also want to be making sure, like looking to see what is that paperwork looking like. How are you combining things if you are? How are you joining things if you are? One of my friends, she isn't interested in marriage per se. She might want to get married symbolically, but she isn't necessarily interested in going down to the court. And so one of the things that me and my bestie told her was to make sure that she's looking at the paperwork. So if you're buying a house together, if you're buying kids together, marriage isn't the only way to make sure that you protect it. It's the paperwork as well. But when you are married, making sure that you have a prenuptial agreement that outlines what you want to do in the event of divorce. I personally think that these are super, super important and dope to have. And I recommend that as you are planning your prenup, you do so when you both are madly in love and you create your prenup in a way that makes sure that both of you are supremely protected and taken care of, not from a position of trying to protect yourself from the other person, but from the position of wanting to make sure that in the event that something goes awry, that both parties are taken care of. And I think that that will go so far. Okay, and finally, okay, so you could probably tell so far in this video, some of these tips relate to all couples. Some of them relate to people who are married or who are aspiring to marriage. And, you know, I'm a rock with it either way. I understand that people have different goals and different ambitions and different aspirations, and we live in very different times. And so people are thinking about their relationship goals in a different way, and that is perfectly fine with me. And either way, no matter which way you decide to go, people think for some reason that the way that they decide to do it is the silver bullet. Especially when it comes to marriage, though. People think like if they get married, that is the silver bullet to their finances. They're going to be that everything is going to be good for life. And that's just not how it is. You want to make sure that no matter what you are doing it intentionally and thoughtfully. So if you are going into a marriage and you want to make sure that your finances flourish, you want to think about this from the perspective of no matter what happens, everybody, from the people in the marriage to the people around the marriage, your children and everybody, you want to make sure that you're thinking about how that will play out. A lot of times there's stepchildren to think about. There are parents to think about. There is elder care. There are so many different moving pieces to a relationship, and the longevity or lack thereof can leave consequences and ripple effects that I feel like people don't really think about. So don't act like marriage is a silver bullet to your financial goals just because you're joining incomes. You want to make sure that you're being intentional about it on every level possible. And then I'm going to give you a bonus. I'm giving you this one for free. Don't get caught up in social media conversations, because a lot of times they're very superficial and they lack nuance, and they're coming from a place of protection instead of a place of vulnerability, love, and openness. And when you want to have a thriving relationship, then that is where I believe that you need to come from. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you are in a relationship, if you are hoping to be in a relationship, or if you are working towards marriage, I hope that you found something inside of what I shared with you today that will allow you to avoid some money mistakes and have a more happy and harmonious relationship, particularly when it comes to finances. And if you did enjoy this video, I recommend that you go look at our 3 money mistakes keeping you poor video. Now, I'm recommending this one because this video is about devastating financial mistakes if you're in a relationship, but the money mistakes video is about what is happening in our economy right now, no matter who you are, and will give you insight on how you can avoid it and overcome it. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for being here with me today. I want you to know you are not helpless. You are not hopeless, and you are not powerless. In fact, you are powerful beyond measure, and you have everything that you need to take your finances to the next level. Thank you for being with us. Have a wonderful day. Gotta stay.